Well, good morning. It's about 5:40. We're headed over to Bar Method. I've been awake since 3 o'clock-ish because I fell asleep super early last night. So I got a good night's sleep. I didn't sleep on the couch. So we're gonna go out and try and change the body back to something I like. How are you doing today? What is going on? So I've been up since, I don't know, sometime in the 3 o'clock hour, and I've been trying to get some work done. I've been going over the spreadsheet that my wife sent, just trying to decide who gets what, and it's just annoying. At the end of the day, I don't really care that much about who gets what, but the fact that she wants all the nice things, it just makes me resentful, particularly since she's trying to cheat me out in the divorce stuff. I wouldn't normally care, but because she's being the way she's being, I'm caring just sort of for sport, or because there's no real consequences. Even if I lose, it's just stuff. But then also I'm awake and I'm like, this is not how I want to start my day. So I just stopped. I stopped because there's no deadline. I stopped because there's no real sense of it mattering. With this whole divorce thing, certain paperwork has to be submitted at a certain time, and I get that. But whether I sent her this spreadsheet last week or today or on Friday, like it doesn't matter. Like it might give her more peace of mind, but her peace of mind doesn't matter anymore. Well, that was great. Solid class. It was short. It was a 45-minute class and it went well. I feel good. I was thinking during class, it's so funny. Despite months of therapy, which is awesome. Like, I love her. She's phenomenal. I guess that's what therapy does for you. Like, it doesn't stop you from thinking certain ways. It helps you deal with those thoughts. Case in point, during Bar Method, there was a song that came on, and I was listening to the lyrics, which I don't do very often. I tend to listen more to music than to lyrics. It's just what I do. It's what I've always done. I will have listened to a song hundreds of times, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my God, did you know this song was about... My wife is just the opposite. She listens to lyrics. She's a lyrics person. And it was always a difference between us. You know, it's a couple thing. Like, I'm a music person. She's a lyrics person. Like, whatever, those are our differences. But I had the thought in class today, I was like, I wonder if that was one of the things, you know, if that was just super annoying and that was why, you know, she broke up with me. And there's the problem. That's your brain trying to find fault with you. You know, I guess that's the self-critic. It takes a difference and it's like, maybe she left you because of that. That's, I think, where therapy is useful, because I finally, like, I could sit there and be like, stop it, you're being an idiot. No, nobody breaks up with somebody because they listen to, like, music over lyrics. But it's that kind of instance over and over and over again that leads to self-doubt, that leads to coming out of a breakup like this in a really bad way. And granted, I'm not in a good way, but at least I'm aware enough now of how my brain and probably everyone's brain really will throw you under the bus. In this instance, I'm still trying to make sense of the breakup. I still 6 months later, I don't understand it. So my brain is still betraying me, still being like, yeah, man, maybe if you listen to lyrics, she would still be with you. And that's messed up. And if you're going through some kind of blindsiding breakup like I've been, watch out for that, because while your brain is amazing, it can also be kind of a backstabber. You're not necessarily a bad person. It's just trying to make sense of something that maybe it can't make sense of, and it's willing to hurt you in the process. So be careful of that. Okay, I'll see. And we're off. Headed to school. I think I've decided what I'm going to do on the spreadsheet, and it's not a disrespectful thing. I'm just going to send her a different spreadsheet. I'm just going to make it more slick and just faster. It's going to have one column just with stuff, and one column with her name, and one column with my name. And based on what she indicated on the first one, and based on my interests, I'm just going to go down and put X's in columns. And then if we need to add the cost of things and get into the technical side of things, we can revisit that and populate it. But it's just really cumbersome to do this tallying and tit for tat. If she takes 2 leather sofas and a chair, and I take 1 sofa and hers is worth more, I don't really care. I'm getting the sofa I want. That way, on things like gifts we got for our wedding, the nice plates, for instance, I can say we should split those. I think it's just gonna be faster, because there's a lot of little things. You have things like trash cans and soap, just things that we invested in. So I think it would be just easier to be like, round trash can, she gets, square trash can, I get. Just go down the list, because I don't foresee a time at which we're both gonna be in the condo ever again. and amicably being like, hey, do you want this? Do you want that? All right, I would really like that. So it's as clean and minimal as it can be, devoid of price, and maybe seeming somewhat amicable. Based on every interaction I've had with her lately, it might not be well received, but I still think it makes more sense, so I'm gonna go for it. And it's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday, which means she's meeting with the attorney today that the mediator suggested to her. Yeah, it still doesn't sit right with me. And the lamps I ordered for my new house arrived, so I'm excited to drop those off later. Things arriving for the new house. I have a rug, and now I have lamps. And I have to tell you the story of the lamps later because they're important. Remind me when I get back in the car, I'll tell you about the lamps. You're not gonna remind me. You never remind me. How do we remind me around the lamp? All right. I'm gonna take my iPhone charging cord and wrap it around the emergency brake. Wrap, 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 wrap. All right, here, it looks like this. So when I get in the car and I'm like, why the hell, when I can't figure out why the cord is there, remind me, tell you the story of the lamps. Not a great story, but it's just personal, and I like telling you parts of my life. And just like that, it's over. Woo! Today was a great day. I had a good time. The kids have passed the safety test, got working, and that seemed to go off without a hitch. It's always a little bit of a risk. You know, the temptation is to totally micromanage and stand over them and be like, oh, no, don't, be careful. And the sort of more daring move is to know that they're safe, give them materials that don't cost a lot of money, and be like, I've explained the process, go do it. And then they'll make the mistakes that beginners make, and it's about measurement. They're not safety mistakes, they're logistical and planning mistakes, and that's good. Make the mistakes here on much less cheap materials, so later on, oh, wait, why did I? The lamp story, haha, it worked. Cool, I was about to shift the car and I'm like, what the hell? Cool, I'll tell you about the lamps. They make me laugh. What was I saying? I don't even know. Oh, just letting them sort of play and make mistakes and learn from their own process. Oh, well, I feel so close, but if you watch this on your phone, I'm not close. If you watch it on screen, I'm like, hey! So, hi. I don't actually want to sit here and talk to you like this because people walk by and students. I think I'm going to talk to you while I drive. I just don't want you to think I'm not being sincere by not looking at the camera. And that's so hard to know. It would be really nice if I could post this and be like, hey, is it better if I look at you and talk or look at the screen, you know, or look outside and talk? Like, does it matter? Does it have an effect on the connection we feel with each other? I'm just gonna have to do the best I can with it because of the delay. And at some point we need to figure out, can I shrink the delay? You know, can my intention is this. My intention is to release these videos in a day by day thing, telling the story in real time as I've experienced it, because I think that's interesting. Is it interesting? It might be boring, but for people that are maybe engaged by this story, I think it is an interesting episodic thing. And for people who think I suck, then they'll just not watch. So I don't think this is gonna get me millions of subscribers. I think there will be some people who think it's a story somewhat similar to theirs and can relate. And then maybe we can talk to each other and help each other through the process or the remains of the process or residual feelings or days where you should feel fine and you still feel bad. Like, I'm hoping there can be connections made that are meaningful. That's really why I'm doing this. Making these videos is helping me, and I hope it'll help you. So I'm gonna move the camera back to the dash so I can drive and tell you about lamps. I like doing things that have particular meaning. Making purchases or making motions or actions that at least have some significance to, you know, to me or to somebody else, or are symbolic, or at least on a personal level are meaningful. And that's what these lamps are. So the lamps are Ptolemaeo lamps. You've seen them everywhere. They're just a classic design. You're not gonna look at them and think like, oh my God, those are fabulous. They're classic. The reason I like them is because I used to work for an interior architect. I worked for her for a couple years, and I learned so much from her. She was a very patient woman. And here's the problem with me. I'm not a fast learner. I tend to make all the possible mistakes you can make before I really learn something. The upside is once I learn it, I really digest it, and then I really enjoy paying it forward and teaching other people. It's just how I seem to work. I learned so much about drafting and architecture and measurement and design, and we did a lot of
residential redesign, particularly for people with disabilities or people with degenerative diseases. So it was really thoughtful design, but pretty high end too. And we did this house that we did a whole lot of work on. And when it was done, it was her design. I was her draftsperson, her assistant, but I was really proud of it. I was proud of the work. I was allowed to go out to, it was on Martha's Vineyard. I got to take the ferry out and photograph it. It was so cool to see in person. It was such a unique thing to be immersed in the design of this thing, and then to be there through the construction of this thing and the finishing of this thing, and then to go out and photograph it. It was really special to be part of the whole process. When I photographed it, she had spec'd Ptolemaio lamps for the bedside table lamps. And I thought it was so cool because up until then I always conceived of bedside table lamps as just, you know, some kind of shapy thing with a big shade that casts like a sort of universal light. And these were sexy and architectural and Italian, and it really tied into the proudness I felt. Like I looked around and I was like, this architectural, like what was cool about the house was that it was as if you took one very simple house design and crisscrossed it with another very simple house design. So it was kind of in an X. So it created a lot of like really interesting spaces, and I'll dig up some pictures. I keep forgetting that this is a visual, like I'm telling you these stories. I'll show you. Somewhere in here, I will put pictures of it. I'll put my pictures that I shot of it. I can probably show you this is awesome. I'm such a dumbass sometimes. I'll show you the bedroom with the Ptolemaio lamps that just made an impression on me. It was a little thing that sort of changed my thinking. Bedrooms don't have to be boring. You know, bedrooms can be whatever you want, and you can light them however you want. And it's always made an impression on me. And anytime I see the Ptolemaio lamps in movies or TV shows, I'm like, oh, there's one. It's just this thing that I called up. So now that I'm moving into a house that will be mine, and all the decisions I'm making are mine, and on the spreadsheet that my wife sent me, she said she wants the bedside tables that are pretty much shapy things with a boring shade on top. I thought I can get whatever kind of lamps I want. So I ordered the Ptolemaio lamps. It's sort of a tip of the hat to the woman that I used to work for, who changed so many things about the way I see the world, the way I think about the design, the way I think about disability and ability within disability. Once my new place is set up, when I come home, when I turn on those lights, it'll always make me think a little bit of her and my past and the things that I'm proud of. So what have I done since getting home? I had some food, and I watched the Good Mythical Morning videos where they ate the Carolina Reapers, and their pain was very real and very relatable. I want to show you something I really like about living in this neighborhood. I love the tree shadows this time of year. There's nothing fun about what I have to do tonight. It's hard to get inspired to do it. This isn't an amicable process. Nothing about what she's done feels forthright or straightforward or honest. It strikes me every now and again how weird the whole process is, in that nobody's met this guy. Not her friends, not her family, nobody. This property they're buying, nobody knows where it is. Not her friends, not her family. Everyone's just left with this sort of like, what the hell is going on? Everybody. That's weird. That's a huge, it's a huge red flag for me. I'm not even sort of pining for her anymore. I'm just kind of worried at this point because it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. It seems erratic. I guess it's really none of my business because we're getting married, but as a human being, as somebody that just cares about her as a person, you know, somebody that has loved her and kind of loves her still in a different way now, I worry about her wellness and her okayness, and the whole thing just seems bizarre. All right, so I just went grocery shopping. I got more popcorn, more yogurt, more limes, more LaCroix. And then impulsively, I saw Oreos I'd never seen before, and it is my policy that anytime I see Oreos I've never seen before, I try them. So I got these peanut butter chocolate Oreos. Awesome, really good. So I've had 2, and then tomorrow I will give the rest away to my first period class. My fear has always been that when we break up, I'll never hear from her again. As we go through this, that sounds more and more appealing. I miss my marriage, I miss that relationship, but the person that I'm getting divorced from bears very little resemblance to the woman I'm married to. It's like she died in February. And I don't say that like hyperbolically. The woman I'm divorcing is so not the woman I married that, yeah, like, And this could be a factor of time too, but I'm not hoping she'll come back. You know, I'm sitting here in the parking garage. If in that spot pulled the white car and she got out, it wouldn't be my wife. I mean, legally it would be my wife, but I don't know who that woman is anymore. I mean, she doesn't really look like her that much. She's changed. Her face when she used to look at me used to light up and be soft and welcoming and happy. And in the last 6 months, that face has always been cold eyes, a set jaw, emotionally walls and walls and walls and walls. I have no access to the person I used to believe is under there and who now I'm not sure is under there. You know, if I could get through all those walls, I don't know who's back there. I used to believe she was back there. I used to believe the she that I married, that I loved, who I believed to be the core person, the thing I believed in more than anything. I believed she was in there and she would come out. I don't know that I believe that anymore. I can't with absolute certainty say she's not, but in 6 months I really haven't seen it. After our second mediation, when we had the hour-long talk in the white car in the parking garage of the mediator's office, towards the end of that conversation, when she was crying and stressed and we were holding hands and we were hugging each other, I thought I saw part of her. I thought I was reaching her. I thought, you know, she was crying and she kissed my neck and she said, "I'm so sorry about all this." And I was like, is she emerging? Is she coming out? Are we getting through all the bullshit and back to a moment of usness? You know, a moment where the two of us were connecting. We weren't. I was there. The me she married, the me she loved, like the me that I am now, that I've been through the whole thing. The genuine me. I was there. I'm not really sure who she was. You know, I held her hand and she held my hand. We were holding hands, which sounds so elementary school, but we were making it like we had a physical connection. And when I hugged her, she hugged me back tightly. But was it real? It was real from my end. I cared about her. And I no longer know what she presented. I hate not trusting my perceptions. I hate having to trust experience as opposed to my heart with her. And that's what it is now. I can't trust her anymore. So when I was talking to somebody the other day, they asked if a year from now, if after everything's settled, if she reached out, if she wanted to talk or wanted to reconnect. And as my friend was talking, I was just like, no. You can't be like she's been through this whole process and then bounce back from that. I mean, even the attempt, if she wanted to try, would have to be huge and persistent. And she's not one that likes to hear no. So if she made the littlest of efforts in a year that didn't get the response she wants, she would cut it down. She would stop. But hopefully a year from now, it won't matter. I'm sure on some level it'll still hurt. But I hope a year from now, I'll be a better version of me. I will have at least dated somebody. I will have a little more experience. I will have figured out or be on my way to figuring out how to be good for somebody else and be a good, genuine, present person for them and not have ghosts or relics of my marriage and that relationship clouding or tainting or affecting how I treat somebody new. And very honestly, even right now, I think I can do that. I really do. The scary emotional part of the remainder of the divorce is about money being scary. It's about how much is it going to cost me to get divorced. The pulling, I mean, and about what I have to do tonight, just in terms of more concretely solidifying what I want to take into the next iteration of my life. What of our relationship moves forward and what goes with her. And when I think about that is the things I want to take with me are quite often like things of sentiment. And I truly don't believe that any of the things she wants have sentiment. I think she just wants them because they're name brand or expensive or shiny looking things. And that affects me.